Folks, welcome to the Chris Voss Show.com, the chrisvossshow.com. We're doing another one of our CEO podcast interviews with the CEO of Kred.com, Andrew Grill. Thanks for joining us today, Andrew, and sharing some of your time with us. We certainly appreciate it.
Chris, it's great to be here. I'm actually coming to you live from Sweden. I'm here at the Dialogue Conference speaking about influence, would you believe?
Live from Sweden, speaking about influence. And that's really what your business is about, isn't it, Andrew, is social media influence.
Yeah, we've been going for a while now. People Browser, our parent company, started back in 2007 doing analytics. And so we approached the question of influence from a very analytical point of view. So when we launched Kred late last year, we wanted to be very different from the existing players in the market like Clout and others. So we took a very different approach. We're transparent, we're real time, we have a dual score, we focus on communities, but we really want to be very different to the other options out there.
Mm-hmm. And so you guys have been basically going out collecting the data on people's social media things. What are the main platforms that you guys are monitoring and measuring on?
So like the other guys, we started first with Twitter. We're very fortunate that back in November 2008, we started collecting the Twitter fire hose. We have a commercial and technical relationship with Twitter, who are great partners. Mm-hmm. And so we've been collecting every single tweet in real time through the Twitter fire hose. We're one of a small number of companies that have access to the fire hose. So since November 2008, we've actually collected 100 billion, that's billion with a B, tweets.
Wow.
So the Kred score is based on essentially 3 years of data looking back to us 100 billion tweets.
Wow. That's a lot of computer hard drive space.
Well, yeah, one of the problems we solved early on was processing big data. And so whether Twitter throw us 10,000 or 20,000 tweets a second, or we're collecting Facebook posts or whatever, that's a problem we solved early on. So no matter what any network throws at us, we actually calculate the Kred score in real time. Every half a second, the Kred score is updated. And the reason we can be so transparent is that because we have the full Twitter fire hose, as the tweets come into our platform, we can actually show your Kred score changing in real time.
Wow, that's interesting to know that it's coming to us on an instant basis. Now, when you guys format your Kred score like a little differently, like there's different variations, I think, of the score that you can have. You have like your main score, I think.
Yeah, instead of having one score out of 100, we've actually got two scores. The first is influence, and that's normalized out of 1,000. So clearly the higher the number, the better. The second part of the score is outreach, which is not really out of anything. It's almost out of infinity. So my Kred score right now is 887 over 8. And the 8 outreach score actually means that I'm fairly generous. And so when people are using the Kred score, rather than looking at one number, they have two. And the second number actually tells more of the story. It says, how likely are you to retweet, to follow, to share links? And from a brand's point of view, it says, well, how generous are you likely to be when we're engaging with you?
That's pretty interesting to know. I've always wondered what that second number was that was on my Kred score. I think I have a 960, and I'm waiting for my page to reload to see what my I have a 7 out of 12 outreach.
Seven's not bad. That actually tells me that you're fairly generous. And so if I'm looking to engage with you as a brand or as an individual, there's a very strong likelihood that you might follow me, that you might share content, that you might tell others. And the very important thing about the Kred score is it changes per community. So if you look at your top communities there on Kred and you click on each community, the influence and outreach will change. And we have about 100 different communities, and you'll have a different Kred score in each one of them. So I bet that your mummy blogger community score is quite low, but I bet your social media Kred is actually quite high. And that tells me as a brand, if I want to use you and talk to you as an influencer, probably mummy blogging isn't an area that you would have a lot of influence in. And that's where we differentiate ourselves from our competitors, where other platforms have a number out of, say, 100, and you've got to work out what that means. With Kred, you can very easily tell off the block where you have influence. And there's been a lot of talk lately about putting scores on CVs and having, interviews conducted with scores. The scores are actually meaningless unless you know where that score, where you have influence. At the talk today in Sweden, I gave the example. Imagine if you put your salary on the top of your head on a post-it note. If you earn $1 million a year, but your expertise is in waste management rather than social media, I'm wasting my time talking to you, even if you have the highest number. So,
what if I have really good stories, though? No, I'm just kidding. No, but that brings to a great point. In fact, you just reminded me that next time I go to a conference, I need to get a shirt that shows my Kred score. Here's my Kred
well, actually,
score.
my business card and my email, every time I send an email, I have my live Kred score. As I look through my emails over the years, my Kred score gets better and better, and my business card actually has my old Kred score on it. For two reasons. One, to show that the score has changed over time, but secondly, it's a great talking point to say, here's my influence and here's my outreach. So yeah, you can use that as a bit of currency.
I think what I'll do actually is when I go to the next conference, I'll put on my shirt, you don't talk to me unless you have a Kred score of X. No. But so it looks like on the Kred score stuff, the max is 1,000 you can have on your influence, on your global Kred.
That's right. It's normalized out of 1,000. So the person who has the most Kred in a specific community or global will have 1,000. And then we work backwards from there. And the stats are that if you have a Kred score of over 600 out of 1,000, you're in about the top 14% of Twitter users.
Wow.
If your Kred score is over 800, you're in the top 0.1%. So as you go up the scale, it becomes harder and harder to increase your Kred. Now, we're the only influence platform that actually publishes our scores, publishes our curves. If you go to kred.com/rules, we completely lay out exactly how we score. And every one of the 120 million Kred profiles has what's called an activity statement. So if you were tweeting about me right now, I could go to your Kred score, kred.com/Chris Voss, and I could see every single tweet. I could see exactly how your score was impacted. And no one else does that. No one else does a real-time score, and no one else is transparent.
Now, are you guys are measuring Facebook?
Yeah, we've got Twitter and Facebook. Obviously, Facebook, you have to connect. We don't grab Facebook posts unless you give us permission. The next two networks we're launching are LinkedIn and Google+. And as the other networks give us a better API, we'll be adding them as well.
Yeah, the one thing I really like about Kred is, well, number one, I really like the outreach level thing. Now that I understand, I'd never known what that was until we had this conversation. So it's really awesome that you guys are measuring kind of from both ends, not only how influencing we are, but how reciprocal or engaging we are.
And I'll give you a real-world example. We thought in theory that the outreach score would work really well. One of my clients is an e-commerce client, and they wanted to find specific influencers in the motorsport community. And so we worked with their agency, and what they found was that the higher the outreach score in a specific community, the more likely they were to engage. And so as a rule of thumb, if your Kred outreach is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, or 12, you are more likely to engage if the community is right. If you have an outreach of below 5, you're just not interested. So looking at the Kred score of influence over outreach, you can very quickly work out whether someone is going to be engaged with the brand.
That's cool. I really like that. I've always wondered what that outreach level is, and so that's really cool. So you've got some new things that you guys are working on that you guys want to show us and talk about. I don't know if you want to walk through the site first or show us the new things first. Is up to you.
Well, the best way to show Kred Story, which is our latest release, is actually to walk you through it. So I'll just do a screen share now of Kred Story. So if you're on Kred.com and you're an existing Kred user, you'll actually have this new Kred window. So hopefully you're seeing that now.
Yep.
So Kred Story is basically a very visual way to look at influence. And so here I'm looking at your Kred Story. And each of these panels shows different things. Now, because we started life as an analytics company, we absolutely love analytics. So every one of these panels can be clicked, and the story behind the panel comes up. So here are the most mentioned words about you.
Now for some reason, we're not getting that. We're getting a black screen.
Okay, let me try that again.
Now, if we need to, we can switch over to me.
Okay, let me just see if that's going to work. Hopefully no, should be sharing my screen. Let's try that again. Maybe it came off. How about now?
I can see your screen there, and then the Kred Story, for some reason, we're going black. Why don't I do that? It shows there for a second. I'm not sure why we're getting it. I'll tell you what, why don't I do it on my end?
Okay.
Tell me what to do, and let's go back
to...
So
go to Kred.com, and you'll have to sign in with Twitter probably.
Yep. Let's go ahead and do that. And I really like the layout of this this Kred story. So can you see my thing there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So your Kred story, every one of those panels is a little piece of information. So we're showing a very visual way of presenting the content. If you click on any of those panels, maybe one of the retweets or people mentioning you, click on just there, you'll see the panel flips around, and up pops the analytics behind that. So it's looking at specific panel on content. It's looking at specific retweet. It shows you how many points were gained, who engaged with you, and who these people were that retweeted that post. So
you know, this I really, really love this because Twitter kind of hides and buries who retweets your stuff. And this is something else that I really like. I can see and follow these people because I want to follow the people that retweet me. So I can go down here and follow the people that have done me the honor of a retweet.
It's basically looking at your community. So people that are talking about you, engaging. As an author, you want to know what content is resonating. With Kred's story, it's a very visual way of saying what content actually resonated, what was the most retweeted, who was talking about me. And as you mentioned, you can then do them the favor of retweeting them or following them as well. Now, you can enter any one of 120 million @ names. You can enter any hashtag. So do this one, enter hashtag Olympics.
Okay.
Or hashtag anything, really. But Olympics is a great one because there's a lot of great content there from the Games in London. So here you'll see something a little bit different. You'll see the top influencers, and you'll see a bulk, a great range of content. Again, any one of these can be clicked.
Yeah, this is pretty freaking awesome. I like top Kred influencers. And they give us a pop-up. Wow,
there you go,
YouTube,
top 10
of course.
influencers.
And Justin Bieber,
Yep.
who knew?
Who would have thought, yeah. But any one of those panels also where the content comes up, not only can you see the content if it's graphical, you can actually click on that and see who interacted with that. So we like to say it gives you the full story behind the tweet.
Yeah, you can click on, there's a little Kred symbol beside their name.
Yep.
On the
and
pop-up.
if you then click the more button at the bottom right, it will give you the full, what we call credentials on that particular user. Now, you can do this on any one of the users, just bottom right, click there. Now you can see the full story, so you can see how their influence is generated, how their outreach is generated. Now what's interesting, for an account here that has so many followers, they follow very few and they interact quite in a very low way. So while they have a massive amount of influence, their outreach is only 6. Only, it's still a good number, but you look at the ratio, what is it, 15 million versus 425 people they're following. And they've shared 3,000 links. So in the scheme of things, it's not a very active account.
So is that one of the things that you guys track and value, is how many people you follow back?
That's only one of the components. The others are, how many times you retweet, how many people are mentioning you, how many links are posted, those sort of things. But what's interesting is often brands use this as a mirror to say, I'm a brand like YouTube or an airline. In fact, let's type an airline in there. Let's type JetBlue, let's say. So if you go at JetBlue in the search box, let's assuming I'm at the social media manager at JetBlue, and I'm looking at how my brand is being represented on social media. So I'm now holding a mirror up to this. Now this is pretty cool. They're 968/9, which means they've got a high amount of influence. If you just click on the Kred badge where your mouse is there, up will pop the credentials, and click the More button to expand that, and we'll get all the analytics here.
Wow.
So it'll load their top communities, and it'll load all the numbers in here as well. This is a good way of saying, how is my brand appearing on social media? What do people think of my brand? So there we go. We can see their top communities, no surprises, airlines. You see where it says top communities? If you click on each one of those, you'll see that the Kred score actually changes as you click on a different community. So click on the, see how it changes? And that one there, publications, or podcasters rather, their influence might be high, but their outreach is low. So each community...
You guys are definitely giving more than just a score, a flat score, and saying there's your score. You guys are rating by communities and being able to balance out where your top influences are.
And the community concept is really important. Last time I looked, human beings form communities, not topics. So on Kred, you won't be influential in prison or cheese or or canoeing. It'll be a specific community, and we've got about 200 of them. And when brands come to us, they say, we'd like a specific community. We'd like to know all the people in Colorado that like technology and running. And so at Kred, we could specifically craft a bespoke community and find out who has influence in that one. So it's a lot harder to game and just give people influence in something silly. You know, we don't think Kred is a game. We think it's a really useful platform.
Definitely. I like how you kind of have a word cloud here of the popular words. You have the most mentioned, most used hashtags. I guess that's for their brand. That'll probably take us to Twitter. Most posted links. I like this. This is a great amount of data that you can take and play with here.
This is what we call the credentials. This is available on every single Twitter name that's public. About 120 million people have this. So it means you can go through and look at anyone and see where they have Kred.
Now, would I use this if I was a brand manager? Would I use this as a monitor? To monitor?
You would do. I mean, this is the consumer view. So this is what consumers can see, and you can type any @ name. What you're seeing here is completely free. If we were to engage with, let's say, JetBlue, they would have far more information available to them. They might say, let's look at all our followers. We'd like a Kred score of all our followers. We'd like to know where they have influence, what communities they're in, those sort of things. So when we engage with brands for a fee, we can go much deeper than the consumer view you're seeing now.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this is what I really like. It talks about, we'll go back to mine, because I'm narcissistic like that. I like this total influence points. Tell me about what that is.
Well, actually click just where it says the top right, there's an arrow. Just click on that, and this is the existing element. This is what we've had in Kred from day one. This is your activity statement. So you can see there who's given you plus Kred, who recommends you, your Twitter and Facebook transactions. So if you look in there, you'll see the latest transaction. You'll see exactly who mentioned you. You'll see exactly how many points you got. You'll see your raw points. This is where we're completely transparent. So every single tweet that you make or someone makes about you that's public, we show the exact score. Obviously, the normalized score is there, but the small score just to the left of the big number actually shows you the raw amount of points you have. So during a Twitter chat, my Kred might go up 1 or 2 points because there are lots of people talking about me and my influence increases. You can see exactly why and when your Kred score went up. So like any platform, any system can be gamed. Cloud can be gamed, Kred can be gamed, real life can be gamed, but it means you can see exactly what's happening. So I would never present to a brand someone that I knew was gaming the system.
I really like that, and of course you can take a look at the Kred of the people who are retweeting you, and you can
who's talking about you.
Yeah, you can go into the basically drill down into the people that are being your key influencers. I really like this, and like you said, it is total transparency because you're seeing each of the scores, and you're seeing the cumulative effect there.
Yeah. Now, no one else is doing this because we have the live fire hose from Twitter. We can do this, and most other platforms update on a daily basis. We update every half a second.
I should probably be. I can repost this. Yeah, I can just tweet this out and share this with people, and they can come see me. Now it's got the Twitter bomb. Looks like this. Well, not the Twitter bomb. These are tags and conversations that I have. Like,
so if you click on that, you'll again give you all the data behind that particular, all your hashtags. So any one of the panels is clickable.
Wow.
There you go. And also you'll see if you close that box and go down the screen, you can scroll down. There's almost an endless scroll that goes down the screen to show you the content from that month. And as you go down further, you'll see on the very right-hand side that says August and July, you can go back a number of months.
Okay, yeah, we've got August, July, June, May,
So what we're
April.
doing in June, it'll show you what content was being posted in June, what your Kred score was in June. We're expanding this. We're actually going to go back about probably 20 or 25 months. So as we build the index there, we'll actually access the full Kred archive.
This is pretty cool. So it'll go back in time, measure everything, and I love that. Users mentioned, it'll show me. There were some other things. What is your Kred? See your Kred.
It's got communities. It's got location where people are tweeting about you, who's tweeting about you, and the bulk of the content there you'll see are all of your posts, and the ones that are bubbled up to the top are the ones that have been engaged with more. And so you can see, as an author, what is really resonating, what are people really reposting and retweeting the most, and what should I focus on because this is where my influence is coming from.
I really do love this being able to look at this whole panel of like top retweets. Like here's something I retweeted, or I guess tweeted about Albert Einstein. It got 14 retweets, and then I can see other ones that are less successful that maybe, I don't know, that are less interesting, that get fewer retweets and stuff. Of course, time of day probably has some impact on this. But yeah, I really love this dashboard, and I like how I can actually go and see who's retweeting me, and I can actually follow those people back really quickly and effectively, because those are the people I definitely want to be following and be engaging, because they're the people who are giving me the retweet love.
Well, it also shows you exactly where your influence has been generated from a raw point of view, but also the content. So you can say as an author, what does my community really like? What are they really interested in? I was looking at this the other day with one of our Kred leaders, and they were seeing that a lot of their posts seemed to be quotes, and they were being retweeted less than where they posted photographs. So again, you can look at balancing your content to see where you're going to have the maximum impact.
So here's a lot of people that are mentioning Chris Voss.
Yeah.
I can follow them. I can see the pictures of who my real people are, and of course I can drill down into their personal information, their personal cred. This is interesting. Top locations. Now, is this from my tweets, or these are from people that are interacting?
These are from people tweeting you, and they're basically where they're coming from based on what they self-identify in their bio. So it looks like most people are in California this month that have been tweeting you. So you can see where your audience lives.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see.
And what we're going to be doing going forward is actually allowing you to say, I'd like to see who are the top people in this location tweeting about this. So that's kind of the next version. We're going to have location-based searches involved as well.
That would be great, because I've been at conferences and meetings where I would love to be able to go over to somebody, hey, thanks for retweeting that, or hey, by the way, I'm right here. I'd love to meet you. Now, can you choose what your topics are? Like, it looks like one of mine is health, and I'm not even sure why one of mine is health, because...
Well, let me explain that. So often people say, health or wine or something that I'm not really that familiar with. Influence is in two areas. One, you might be influential in a topic, and also you might influence a community. So here, health is probably saying that you actually have influence in the health community, because people in the health community talk about you a lot.
I'm 330 pounds. They're probably talking about how I'm about to go diabetic and die.
Well, people in the health community don't want you to die. That's probably what they're saying.
They're like, Chris, we need to save you. So, yeah, I really love the layout of this, and I love how easy it is to go through this stuff and really see how effective some of the different campaigns and stuff I'm doing. So this is a great monitor on seeing what's popular. Like, here's our review of the iPhone 4 Siri versus Samsung. That got 10 retweets, so that was very popular, as we know those usually are. You guys don't have Google Plus yet, right?
That's the next network we're adding, along with LinkedIn, so they're the next two that are coming off the...
Yeah, LinkedIn will be awesome. LinkedIn will be definitely awesome. And I have a question for you about monitoring blogs when we get done going through this stuff. So now, what other things do you want to show us here with the new element?
Well, I mean, it's almost self-explanatory. You really need to play with it to understand it, and often it's hard to explain in words. Most of the demonstrations I've done, I've actually done a screen share like this and shown people what you can do with it. It's just so powerful, and what a lot of people have said is it's a time suck, because once you're on it, you just want to keep playing with it. It just provides so much data and so much information. I've had people say they've been playing with it for hours.
Yeah, I mean, I can see myself playing with it for hours after we get off here. Now, it looks like you can add Kred widgets, of course, to your website.
Yeah, we've got a Chrome plugin. You can have widgets. You can have all sorts of things. We have a full API as well. If you're a developer, we can give you all the Kred scores directly as an API. Really have a complete end-to-end service. We also offer Kred rewards. So if you're a brand and we actually want to get your product in the hands of an influencer, we offer a full turnkey solution where we'd actually find the influencers, fulfill the product, whether it be digital or physical, get the product to them, and then report on what people thought of it.
Yeah, so it looks like
and
here's...
privacy, on this page here, privacy is a really important thing to us. If you want to opt out of Kred, you can totally, or you can actually change your level of privacy down to 3 different levels. So that's always been very important to us as well.
So that's pretty interesting. You got complete control over your privacy. I love that. I know a lot of people will like those features. Maybe I know that some people, they don't have the best scores in social media scoring companies that are out there, and they get concerned and they feel kind of embarrassed. And you know, I mean, they just don't use social media that often. So
yeah, you could completely opt out of Kred if you wanted to.
Wow. And you guys make it very easy to just scale it back, scale it up,
yeah,
as you want to take and do it. What was the other thing I was looking at? They'll show the accounts I have connected, and then Kred rewards. Let's talk about that. You mentioned that. Let's get out of that, and let's see. Kred rewards. We match people with the products. So go ahead and tell us about this. This is, I think, a newer thing for you guys, isn't it, over the past couple months?
Yeah, we launched this a few months ago. So here are some of the brands we're about to launch with. So Pop Chips, Soul Republic, .co, AVG. These are brands that have come to us to say, we really like your scoring. We like that it's transparent. We like that we have some involvement. We'd like you to get our product in the hands of key influencers. And so like other reward programs that are out there, we'll get the brand in the hand of those influencers. Where we differentiate, though, is we will actually supply and share the information with the brand. What brands have been concerned about until now is that if you blindly use a network where you don't know how the scores are generated, it's a bit of a black box. And so with Kred and Kred Rewards, we would actually sit down with an agency or a brand and look at the candidate influencers, because one of them might be a competitor, one of them might be a staff member. Do you want to send your latest headphones to a staff member? Probably not. So that gives the brand some involvement in there. We're not giving away any private information. It's all public information. But brands have almost been shaking us and saying, Andrew, we want your open and transparent score to be used to find influencers. How can we do this? So they really almost forced us into the rewards program because they wanted a more reliable, more understandable score to match up with the influencers.
I think it's cool you're working with Soul Republic. To give them a plug, they've sent us a ton of their headphones and earphones, and they're one of the top products we've reviewed in that category. And the design of them is freaking out of this world awesome. So we've actually reviewed, I think, 4 or 5 of their different products, or maybe 2 or 3. But we really love their products. So they're not.
Well,
when
it's available,
cheap.
we'll have to see if you make it onto the Kred Reward list, because what they'd like to do is get one of their new release products into the hands of influencers before it gets to the market.
Oh yeah, and and they're definitely high quality products. It isn't just junk you guys are putting up there. So that's important for readers to know, is that they're great products.
Well, what I'll actually do, I've been very clear with the team. We actually will turn away some rewards that we don't think match the Kred brand. So you won't find any and every type of reward there. We want things that are a really useful experience.
The rewards, Andrew. I like the setup of that and how it works. So pretty much that's the full Kred story. The new updates on Kred and everything you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty big update for us, and so we want people to play with it. We obviously will improve it. We're getting a lot of feedback. Even in the first week, we've had some feedback about things people would like to change. You can see on the top of each of the boxes now there's a favorite and a pin button. That wasn't there when we launched, so even in the first few days, users said, we want to have some more functionality. The great thing about Kred is that we can add things really, really quickly. So you'll see innovation happen almost on a week-by-week basis.
You know, it's really cool that you guys are spending that much time listening to users. There's been some of your competitors that, that's been kind of the qualms that some people have had, that they don't listen maybe as well or react as quickly or as well. I don't know, do you want to talk about your competitors and maybe tell us what the core differences are? Do you want to go there and talk about that?
Yeah,
or?
I mean, I get asked all the time, let's be transparent as we do. How are we different from Clout? Clout's our nearest competitor and we're their nearest competitor. Where we see us being different is that we're real time. Because we have that Twitter fire hose, we can actually produce scores in real time. The score updates every half a second. We are completely transparent in a number of ways. First of all, every single tweet is actually listed on your activity statement. If it's public, you can look at exactly why and when your score changed. And if someone's trying to game the system, then we can actually see it being gamed.
Do you guys penalize? Sorry.
Also, we don't penalize people. We don't take Kred away from people. But if you are clearly gaming the system and I'm engaged with a brand, I'm not likely to put forward someone that is clearly trying to tweet to get free stuff. Brands don't need to waste their time and money on people that are just tweeting to get stuff. They want to find authentic, authoritative people who have influence in a specific community, and that's what we'll find for them. I've seen people gain cred. I've seen it happen in front of me. I've seen people go on to Fiverr or to Empire Avenue and have these missions where they want people to give them plus cred or tweet about them. That's very easy to spot because cred is completely transparent. The other thing that differentiates us is we actually publish our full set of rules on our website. Kred.com/rules explains exactly how we score. We have our curves there. We are insanely transparent. Even me talking to you, there's no question that I won't answer about cred. The other thing that's different is we also have the dual score. And so you'll see you have influence and outreach on the badge. That's very different. And we normalize out of 1,000 for influence. And the outreach will also never go backwards. If you never tweet again and your outreach is 9, your outreach will stay at 9. And the final thing is that we look at people in terms of communities rather than topics. It means that it's less likely you're influential in cheese or bathroom scales. You're actually influential in something that makes sense.
You know, that's really important, especially for brands. You know, Seth Godin years ago talked about brands finding their tribes and engendering them and growing them and being able to identify those people, and then, of course, being able to get those people to help talk more about their brands. So it looks like you can do that very well with Kred.
Yeah, I mean, with Kred's story, we think we tell the whole story so that whether it be an individual or a brand, they can see how their presence resonates. One of the best things that brands can do is actually throw in their own Twitter name, and it's like a mirror. It says, how does social media see your brand? So if you're an airline and you throw in your @name, you can see what we think of your brand, where it resonates, what people are talking about, what content's being retweeted the most. So whether you're an individual or a brand, it becomes a really, really useful analytics tool. It goes beyond influence being a game. It actually applies analytics to everything that we do. And we've been doing analytics now for nearly 5 years as a company, as People Browser. And so with Kred coming out, we address the challenge of influence from very much an analytical point of view. And that also sets us aside that we're not a game, we're a really important platform.
One of the arguments that I've had with clout, and it hasn't really been, well, it's been an argument on my end, I guess I've been the one arguing for it, is I like a long time early on with scoring, I was in some scoring models as high as people that were way more influential than I had way more readership and followings than I had, but my clout score was very close to them. And so one of the arguments I've had with them is you really need to measure blogs and the audience of blogs and maybe groups that we control on Facebook. I have a huge group. I have 3 huge groups on LinkedIn that I control and influence. I have several groups on fan pages on Facebook. But my big push has been really, for me, social media is an extension of my blog and my influence there. And so my argument been with them is if you really want to measure true influence and who's really powerful, measure the blog influence. Do you see that being something you guys are interested in the future, or
Absolutely. I mean, I'm a blogger myself, so I would love londonCalling.co to be registered on Kred. The challenge we have is most of the high-profile bloggers, such as yourself, it's all self-hosted. So if you're on a WordPress or a Tumblr, they're fairly easy because we can use APIs to authenticate. So if you're on WordPress.org and you have mygreatestblog.wordpress.org, it's quite easy for me to actually authenticate to see who you are. Once you take your blog onto your own platform, what's really important, and I think bloggers respect this, is it really your blog? It would be unfair for me to claim that the Chris Voss blog is mine and get all of your credit. So the challenge facing us and our competitors is how do you really authenticate that? Now, it's not impossible. I think in order of complexity, it's really easy for Twitter and Facebook authentication. Then you've got LinkedIn, Google+. As I said, as a blogger, I'm absolutely committed to getting blogs inside Kred. It's just taking a while to get it right. And we're working with some partners to do that. And I agree with you that we'll tell the whole story once those blogs are in there as well. But even then, I doubt that we'd have access to your traffic figures. So you would get your own figures off Google Analytics or Clicky or one of those.
And see, that's what I would gladly share. And this is what I've suggested. I'm like, I would gladly share my Google Analytics, you know, however I need to do that. In fact, I think mine are hooked up through Google Webmaster to where they're public anyway.
Yeah, so that's where it comes in and all these things come together. Now, that's not simple to do, but it is really our absolute focus to make sure we have a very holistic view. And, we're talking about this conference today. Ted Rubin was saying that, blogging really is the life of social media. It's not just about Twitter and Facebook. Bloggers out there, such as yourself and myself, we really love what we're doing with a passion, and so we want to include blogs. So it's not something we're missing out by design. We want to get it right. And so, clearly with our relationship with Twitter, Twitter's very easy. Facebook is fairly straightforward. Blogging is on the roadmap, but even our competitors haven't got there yet either. So I think they acknowledge it's not simple to do, but do it right rather than just do it for the sake of doing it.
This is the thing I've talked about in my blog posts, defending monitoring of people's, I want to say credit because I was in the business, monitoring of people's social scoring. Is that this is still a new thing. I mean, you guys can't just jump in and be like perfect from the get-go and of course be able to measure everything. I mean, there's systems programming, coding, all this stuff that has to go into this. But yeah, I mean, early on, I had scores that were a little bit higher than Chris Brogan. And Chris Brogan is probably 10, 150 exponential times more influencer, has more of an audience, more followers, probably more smarter too. Than myself, and I was scoring above him. And if you look at my traffic on my blog compared to his traffic, it's minute. And so, really, our power that we resonate onto social media comes from our blogs and where our core is. So yeah, if there could be a way in the future to measure that audience, I think that would be one of the most greatest innovations.
You picked up on a very interesting point there that you're talking about other platforms where it's a one number thing and it's out of 100. So if you have a higher number than Chris Brogan, you can't tell where you have the higher number. Even though we don't measure blogs at the moment, your cred in a specific community will always be higher than somewhere else. But like we talked about before, your cred in mummy bloggers is probably as low as mine is, so don't worry about us for a mummy blogger program. But in social media or marketing, it's quite high. And so with a community approach, it means that we can localize where your influence is. And as we involve location-based searching, you can actually say, well, does Chris Voss really have cred in social media in Connecticut versus New York? So it's not just, what I want to decouple, it's not just one number. If you put a score on your resume or your website, it doesn't tell the whole story. Clearly people want to put the biggest score there, but if you really want to be sensible, you want to show where you have influence, and that for me is more important. And for a brand, it's incredibly important. I don't want to throw away thousands of dollars at you if I'm throwing dollars at the wrong person.
So let me ask you a last question I'll throw at you. Where's the future of this going? I mean, I've told a lot of jokes about starting amzn.to where you can only meet other people that have credit scores that you approve. I've actually heard, in Silicon Valley from people that have overheard people at bars going, I won't date somebody unless they have a social media score close to mine. What's the future of where they see this going? Is it going to affect me buying a house, me buying credit cards, or what's the future in your mind?
Well, I spend a lot of time trying to train clients on how to read these scores, be it cred or clout. Because if you just take the biggest number, the example I gave before, if you go into a room and take the person with the biggest salary, but their expertise in something completely different than what you're interested in, you're throwing your money at the wrong person. So whether these scores are used for those things in the future, what I desperately want people to understand is you need to understand what you're looking at. So my cred score, my global cred score is 887 over 8. But if you're looking at me for a windsurfing campaign, my cred will be 0. So I shouldn't even be contemplated. So it would be unethical of me to say, hey, for your windsurfing campaign, I've got an 887 over 8, so you should choose me. Woe betide the marketer that just says biggest number gets the gig. What I'm trying to do wherever I go is try and defocus. Every time I see an article about putting your X score on your CV, I jump in with an article I've written called Myopia, lc.tl/myopia, that tries to debunk where this focus on the score has become so important. Those that understand it, a bit like PageRank, if you really understand how Google PageRank works, sometimes the biggest PageRank doesn't mean that you've got the best blog. So where we're going in the future, let me just take a slightly different tangent. Let's move away from the score for the moment. Let's look at where Kred and other platforms can be useful. I think the enterprise is an area that no one's really looked at in a big way. We've just launched a plugin for Salesforce.com called Kred for CRM, and it goes beyond just putting a Kred score against a name. So if you're using Salesforce.com for customer service, for marketing, outbound lead marketing, for opportunity generation, we can do things, for example, to say, let's assume someone wants to get in front of you, Chris. And they can see from the Kred CRM plugin that you and I have a relationship. We've tweeted each other 15 times this week. Wow. I know Andrew. Andrew might be able to get me to Chris, and I can see their Kred scores. So Kred inside a CRM becomes incredibly powerful. The other area...
Go ahead.
One more thing is the other area in enterprise is where you've got an internal Twitter stream. So if you've got a Yammer or a Chatter, we've had discussions with companies that have said, you know, we're really big users of Yammer. Wouldn't it be great if we could feed you all of our yams into Kred in a private way, you could process them and then send them back to us privately? Here's the use case. I'm a large consulting firm. It's 6 o'clock at night. I'm at my desk in New York. I want to find the person in my organization who is the go-to person on QR codes. Now, on the internal directory, it doesn't tell me who is the expert on QR codes. But I look into my Kred Yammer score, and it says that Chris Voss, who's sitting there in California, is the go-to guy on QR codes. Imagine the time saving, imagine the charge-out rates that can increase when you can actually plug in who your subject matter experts are within the company. So I think enterprise Kred, internal sort of enterprise, is amazingly powerful. It'll save time, and it'll generate new revenues. And we're the only ones that are really looking at that because we see B2B as a really important space.
I really love the vision of that. That's almost like a new, you know, one of the great things about branding and social media, and I apologize for running long, but one of the things that is social media is you can kind of identify people that are experts in their field, or at least analyze them a little bit from what they put forth and choose who you want to do business with. But you guys going that route can go much deeper and actually truly identify experts.
Well, yeah, and that's where internally this particular organization we're dealing with, they run a bunch of consultants, and they've actually said we can charge out the consultants at a higher rate because we have a third party in Kred that is actually saying this person really does have authenticity in their particular field. So when we engage them on a project, we're going to charge them out at a higher rate because the market thinks they really have Kred in their area.
Cool. Well, Andrew, we really appreciate you taking the time to explain Kred.com to us. It's been an amazing ride, and I love the new changes you guys have made. In fact, I'm probably going to go play with it for a couple of hours here and get nothing else done all day, so it's your fault.
Okay.
Tell us where we can find you on social media, Andrew, where people can follow you and Kred.
So Kred is easy. It's at Kred, Kred.com. I'm at Andrew Grill, ANDREWGRILL, and I blog at londoncalling.co.
London Calling. Thank you, Andrew. I know we ran long, so I really, really appreciate you, and I'm sure our readers, and as we promote this, will. It just occurred to me that maybe my Kred might go up a notch or two. I don't know.
Well, it probably will go up because you've got more Kred, more people are talking about you in a specific community, and you can see if it's gone up and why.
I'm brown nosing for points. Andrew, can you give us a shout out we can publish? I'm Andrew Grill, CEO with Kred. See me on the Chris Voss Show.
Hi, it's Andrew Grill, CEO of Kred. You can catch me soon on the Chris Voss Show.
Thanks for spending some time with us, Andrew. We definitely appreciate it. Continue success with Kred and keep us updated. We'd love to do, whatever new updates you guys are going to be doing in the future. So we'll look forward to those.
Thanks, Chris. And the question for you is, what's your Kred story?
I'm going to go spend a few hours playing with it and make a better one.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.